This video is to help clear up some of the supervisory functions of the 5200 Club Series electronic lock and some common errors that we see on site using the control and management cards. Here we have a 5200 in shared use mode, and I'll lock it with a combination. Now, the two different types of supervisory access cards are the control card and the management card, and they do have different uses. The management card will open or close the lock, but it leaves it in, it only half cycles the lock. So if you do use the management card to open a lock, you always have to remember to close the lock with the management card. Now, this will maintain the code that I typed into the lock. It will not erase the code. So this is used best for when someone doesn't remember which locker they're in. You don't want to erase the codes of adjacent users' lockers. You just want to make sure that you verify belonging inside the locker and you've identified that this is their locker. Then what you want to do is you always want to run the control card on the lock, putting it from the closed to the open position, which will clear out the combination and make it open and available for the next user. Some of the problems that we see with this is sometimes a supervisor will come and they'll help someone with a locker, but they'll use the management card instead of the control card, and then they'll walk away thinking that the lock is open and available. But as you can see, if you try to enter a code now, it gives you that 3 beep error message that I'm sure you're hearing. Even if you come by with the control card now and run the control card to lock and run the control card to open, the lock is still maintaining the management card on the lock, so it's still not going to accept a new code. So if you find a lock in the open position and it's rejecting a code with that 3 beep error message, a good habit might be to run the management card over it. Excuse me. So now it's in the closed position. Now if you run the control card on it, this leaves it in the open and available position with the last code wiped off the lock, so that the next user can use it with a brand new code. Now there's another error that we're seeing when someone helps someone into their locker with a control card. If you enter a code too quickly after you run the control card, you can set the lock into another usage setting called permanent use. So whenever you help someone into their locker, I'll set a code here. When you use the control card, you'll see that this green light's going to flash. And while that green light is flashing, it's in a programming mode that will allow you to do some higher level functionality of the lock, including changing the programming. So let's lock the lock, and we'll open it again with the control card. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in a combination while that green light is still flashing and show you how that changes the programming on the lock. So we got a beep that was quite different than some of the other beeps we get from the lock. Now, if we try to enter a shared use code, we're getting again that 3 beep rejection message. So what we need to do in this case, now if you see I press the power button and the open close, it goes into the locked position. So now it's locked with a permanent use combination. What you need to do in this scenario is either on the front of the lock, if you take the lock off the door, you can access this reset button, which is a depressed button that you need to get in there with a paper clip and hold to reset the lock. Or if you take the battery cover off, there will be another reset button between the first and second battery. I believe the facility also has a shared configured card that I sent instructions on how to use that to switch the lock back from permanent use to shared use mode. But the most common way to resolve this error is to press the reset button, and just make sure your staff knows that when you do use a control card, always wait for the green light to stop flashing. I hope this video helps, and let us know if you need anything else regarding these locks.